I'm Bill Woodruff, founder, chief investment officer at WealthFactor. Today, I've got a couple things I want to share specific to current trends in investing. I'll start it out with a little context in terms of what the market is from a dynamics and how dollars are invested. And so the biggest influencer in global financial markets and especially in the US is passive investing. So as of 2019, passive investing approached 50% of markets, and that's up from about 25% a decade ago. Per this article here, the CNBC piece, let me give a little bit of perspective around that. So the U.S. stock market has a current value of approximately 34 trillion, with 44 trillion being the total global value of all stocks. And then I always find kind of keeping an eye on Vanguard an interesting metric. You know, how much AUM does Vanguard have? And they're approaching 6 trillion. And so, approaching 1/7 of all global stock assets, although I suppose that's multi-asset class AUM. So that's a little bit of an apples to oranges analysis there. And so, what I would tie this to is the dynamics of how investors are getting their investments. And so this article here is talking about the Robo investment advice world. And it's highlighting how a variety of estimates put the AUM in Robo investment advice by 2020 at much larger numbers. And so this is referencing this article, which is more recent, references a 2016 projection that says they'll reach AUM levels of 2.2 trillion by 2020. Well, we're in 2020 now, and further in this article, it's estimating that there's between 350 and 660 billion in robo investment advice assets currently. And as I am entering and starting to ramp up my attempts to grow WealthFactor, this really speaks to how I think about what the end investor wants and should get from a service deliverable. So the Robo Investment Advisor is acknowledging that the investment elements, doing it right, whether that's passive in some way, or perhaps passive with some sort of active tax management overlay, or perhaps even just a systematized tax management, that's likely the right way to do it. And it's something that a computer can largely do. It's commoditized. But I think the fact that we haven't seen larger growth in asset levels in the robo investment advice world really speaks to the practical challenge of there are a variety of service needs, not just the investment part, that are important. So I look at that in sharp contrast to what I call the mass advisor, where they really haven't embraced technology for the benefit of the clients. And so my goal at WealthFactor, what I think needs to happen is a modernization to take the technology and systems associated with delivering what is largely a commoditized investment and exposure and experience to clients.